All right, viewers, I want to quickly dip into the latest news break that we're getting in. The Congress youth wing stir against the Madhya Pradesh government protest against MP government's education policy. Well, you can see these visuals on your screens playing out. This is Bhopal. The Congress youth wing coming together to protest against the state's education policy. Force being used. They're trying to breach barricades. Till now, there is no use of lathi charge, but with what we are seeing, things are coming to a head. There is an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation. They are protesting outside the Chief Minister's residence. I want to connect right now to my colleague Hemendra Sharma, who's joining us. Hemendra, two things. How are things looking at right now? We believe, things are escalating in terms of a confrontation with the police. Also tell us, what is it that the youth wing of the Congress has taken offense to vis-a-vis the government of Madhya Pradesh's education policy?
Well, the government of Madhya Pradesh has recently announced that it is going to implement the national new education policy, and the National Students Union of India, the student wing of the Indian National Congress, they had today organized a protest and given a prior notice that they are going to march towards the Chief Minister's residence. The police had made elaborate arrangements. Barricades were set up on Link Road number 1 that connects the Congress office to the Chief Minister's residence. And in between, while trying to cross the barricade, someone from the crowd, some activists from the crowd, they pelted stones on the police, and in retaliation, police also had to use some force. The situation right now is under control, but certainly tense.
All right, so mild lathi charge which is being used. Give us the outline of the national education policy which the Congress has taken offense to, because it's not just happening in the state of Madhya Pradesh, Hemendra, but other states as well.
Well, yes, it's the national education policy that the government of India has announced, and it is this policy that the National Students Union of India is protesting against. And there are many issues that the NHY has raised against the new education policy, including provisions for NEET and other exams. So the NHY has been running a sustained systematic campaign against the new education policy, which the BJP on the other hand is trying to implement and also trying to take it to the students. There is the student wing of the BJP, the ABVP, is also campaigning in favor of the new education policy. So the National Students Union of India has been outlining the flaws that it claims are there in the new education policy and has therefore been organizing these protests.
All right, Hemendra, appreciate you joining us. We're going to continue to come back to you for the latest updates. But, okay, Hemendra, we're going to come right back to you. Let me quickly encapsulate on what is going down right now in Bhopal. Lathi charge has been used against the protesting youth wing Congress leaders there and the cadre which had come into protest because Madhya Pradesh government is looking to adopt the national education policy. Hemendra, in terms of a deadline, in terms of a ballpark figure, has the Madhya Pradesh government already adopted it for the state, or it's in the process?
No, the government of Madhya Pradesh has already announced that it is adopting and the process is on. So it's not just a one-day process, it is in a phased manner that the new education policy is going to be adopted. And there are certain measures that have been taken. The National Students Union of India has also been protesting against this new policy for quite some time. Today they had said that they are going to organize a march and march towards the Chief Minister's house. The police had set up barricades, and while trying to cross those barricades, it was some slow pelting incident that triggered the reaction from the police when police had to use force, and then there's this mild lathi charge that, as you are seeing on your screen, happened.
To actually adopt and implement the national education policy, or the NEP, Hemendra, is extremely difficult for states. It's a long-drawn, tedious process. The Madhya Pradesh government has decided to do so. There are various loopholes in it, which even certain academics do feel. The Congress right now piggybacking on the kind of resentment that has been brewing around the national education policy. And these are visuals that you see on your television screen of the youth Congress workers in the state of Bhopal protesting against the Madhya Pradesh government's announcement of adopting the national education policy. Are other leaders also in it, or is this just a youth wing protest?
Just the youth, the NHY that is participating in this protest, but it has got the full backing of the Congress party. Yesterday, former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, he was meeting heads of various cells, including the youth cells. So the Congress party is fully backing this protest, and the youth wing, and particularly the National Students Union of India, the student wing of the Congress party, is the one that is holding this protest.
What is the biggest sticking point that the Congress has? Where the DMK is concerned, one of their main issues is with NEET. The other issue is that it's a three-language policy. What are the main sticking points that the Congress is protesting here?
Well, the Congress party has outlined its major concerns and issues with the new education policy. And as you said, NEET is one of them. There are many other issues which the Congress party is raising vis-a-vis the new education policy. But the major bone of contention is also entrance into certain educational institutions and the privatization of certain educational institutions. So overall, the entire education policy of the new education policy that is being brought is being questioned by the Congress party, and they are trying to gather some kind of support amongst the students and the youth on this reservation.
The Congress is looking to politicize because there is, dissent where the national education policy is concerned. Having said that, there are lots of benefits as well. It will change the landscape of education in the country. Many academics, like with any change, any reform, there will always be, those who support it and those who oppose it. Where the NEP or the National Education Policy is concerned, at one end, there is resisting, students as well as political parties are resisting it, like sometimes it happens with reforms, but even in terms of academics, they are split on it. At one end, there is a certain section which does believe, because the national education policy does have the fact, of changing the landscape of education in India for the better in terms of modern techniques, in terms of digital learning, revamping student evaluation, especially looking at restructuring the rural education system. And Madhya Pradesh is a state, viewers, where the rural education system is way suffering in terms of with the current education policy. We've seen the digital divide which the pandemic has brought in, and these are visuals that are coming in right now from Bhopal. The Congress taking on the Madhya Pradesh government for introducing or adopting the national education policy. My colleague Hemendra is with me right now. These are visuals which transpired just a short while back, with lathi charge being used on protesting National Youth Congress workers. Right now, Hemendra, what is the situation? Has the drama quelled, or is it still a head-to-head with the police and the Youth Wing Congress workers?
No, the situation has now been brought under control. It was just for a few minutes that the police had to resort to use force against the agitating students. It all started with the stone pelleting incident, and after that, the police resorted to just mild lathi charge, and now the situation is completely under control.
All right, Hemendra, appreciate you joining us. Another thing which is, of keen interest here is, viewers, that education is a state subject. Therefore, the burden of effectively implementing the national education policy lies on the shoulders of the state. This could be competitive federalism. Most BJP governments have been very quick to adopting the national education policy, while there is resentment. Other states which are not run by the BJP are resisting it. A lot of politics thrown in where reforms are concerned. We leave it for our viewers to decide, once they actually get a deeper understanding on what the NEP is all about. But these visuals speak for themselves. This is a eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation between the Congress Youth Wing workers and the Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh police. Thank you, Hemendra, for joining us.